You've been a strong voice for community advocacy in Orlando for many years. What inspired you to run for City Commissioner for District 5 at this moment?
First of all, thank you for that compliment. A strong advocate for the community. I have to say I stand on shoulders. I was brought up in the civil rights movement. My family was a part of redlining. The first March on Washington my parents attended. I don't know anything else but civic engagement and advocacy. So thank you once again for the compliment. But my community is who I am. The shoulders that I stand on is who I am. And I'm just blessed to be able to serve the community. And I've learned over the years, my community is not just Central Florida. It's throughout the United States because I have friends and individuals I work with throughout the United States. So once again, advocacy, civil rights, movement, social justice, that's my DNA.
How has your work as a nonprofit and civic leader prepared you to take on the responsibilities of a city commissioner?
Well, I've also been a part of corporate America. So policies and procedures is something that runs any governmental agency or any business. You could be a nonprofit, but if you're not turning a profit, then you're not going to be in business to serve your community. And so all of that information, that learning curve, I bring to the table because the most important thing is a public servant is someone who serves the community. It's not a dictatorship. It's not trickle-down economics. It's about looking at the needs of the community and making them whole and finding resources and policies to make it better for everybody to live in District 5, but also the city of Orlando.
What are the top 3 priorities you plan to tackle in your first year if elected?
I'm very concerned about infrastructure. District 5 has gone, it's behind the 8 ball, as one would say. I currently have lived on a street since 1971. It was dirt road. It took 40 years for them to pave my road, to come back and repave it. I still don't have sidewalk. I pay property taxes, so infrastructure is very important. Whether we want to admit it or not, I'm not going to let anybody tell me, but climate justice, climate is very important. Sustainable living is very important. And the third one is attainable housing. I don't call it affordable housing because what's affordable to you is not affordable to me. It's attainable. But when you do that, when you spend money on affordable housing or attainable housing, accountability. If anyone, any organization, any developer is receiving public funds, city funds, we need to hold them accountable that those units will always remain where you was allocated for. I don't want it to be changed in a year, increasing in rent. That's not right. And I'm going to add one more thing when it comes to attainable housing and affordable housing. From the get-go, it's how you negotiate how many units will be affordable, attainable, how many will be for seniors, how many will be for market rate. That's policies, that's negotiation, that's corporate America, that's what I bring to the table. And I've watched past administration not lock that down. Lawanna will not vote on something where I cannot see it being anybody being held accountable 5-10 years down the road.
Affordable housing and gentrification are major issues in District 5. What's your plan to protect long-time residents while still encouraging growth?
Smart growth is very, very important. Gentrification is a reality of District 5, especially the people that living in Paramore. When my parents moved to Paramore in 1971, the late Pappy Kennedy, who was the first African-American council person, literally told my parents, they're coming. And so I'm here to say they're here. And it could have been better, the transition, because we knew people could not go east as far as development. You could only go west. But I have seen families displaced when their houses were only given $15,000, $20,000. No one could go purchase another home with that amount of money. Affordability as far as housing, I've not seen very many houses built. And I'm going to say this, You cannot continue to build the same type of housing. I've spoke about tiny housing. I've talked about modular housing. I've talked about even container homes. We have to think about a different type of building of homes. And guess what? It started with first changing the zoning. It's not even allowed in a lot of communities in District 5. People don't need 3,500 square feet. We need smaller units, but we need affordable units. And so I think if we utilize what we have and build from that, tiny homes, I'm going to say modular homes, that's the most important thing. That's a cheaper home that's sustainable to our environment, because we cannot continue to do damage to our footprint. And so sustainable living is important, and walkable neighborhoods, noble transportation as far as expanding roads. So I've talked about that, but you probably asked me another question. But I just want to make sure people understand affordable housing, attainable housing is the type of housing that we're building, and how can we make sure people can purchase those homes.
Many residents feel disconnected from city government. How will you keep communication open and ensure community input truly shapes policy?
Lawanna Gelzer is not an information hoarder. She likes to share information. I can recall when city council meetings every quarter would be in the community so people could come. It's very hard to make a meeting at 2 o'clock on a Monday. It's not feasible for the average citizen. So having more town hall meetings, District 5 town hall meetings, starting off quarterly, but it might be monthly based on what issues that we need to tackle. And also having task force members of the community to serve, to bring ideas. It's easy to go in the community instead of asking the community to come to you. So I'm definitely going to definitely have more town hall meetings.
Small and minority-owned businesses are vital to this district's economy. What specific steps would you take to help them thrive?
As a business owner for 45 years, I understand how important it is. As an econ major, I understand when people talk about economics, it trickle down, nothing trickle down. So the backbone of any economy has always been our small business owners. And so I would definitely, I'm looking at the climate, what is happening, but we can still do better. We have CRA funding that I would think that needs to be more expanded on the west side of I-4, and people need to know about many grants and opportunities for their businesses to strive. So sharing information would be the first thing I would do, because a lot of times people just don't even know that there is answers and opportunities available. Once again, I'm not an information hoarder. I'm going to share that information.
What's your vision for improving public safety while also strengthening trust between residents and law enforcement?
Implementation of the Bowman Report. About 3 years ago, the City of Orlando spent over $900,000 to develop a plan about how we could build trust in our community as far as community policing. Implementation. I don't believe in spending money and no implementation. Another thing is that it's always asked that the citizens understand what the law enforcement have to do. The first thing I would want to address is the use of force metrics. Currently, the City of Orlando only has 4 levels, and that's not like everybody else. It doesn't line up with any other police departments throughout the state and the country. Most have 6 or 8. That means the City of Orlando can use, OPD can use a chemical agent at first contact. He or she does not have to even speak. And a lot of people don't understand that. So building trust is, let's go back to what you used to have in 2014, and let's show the community that you're making a change. And stop asking the community. I'm always at meetings, I'm always sharing with the individuals what you do when you get stopped by law enforcement. That's important. But to build trust, it's not a one-way, it's a two-way avenue. Build trust by let's tackle some issues that the community have been saying is a problem. And just recently, one of my opponents just voted for another 29 red lights to be put in the Paramount community in District 5. That is not building trust. That is targeting a particular community. Because if you target any community, you will find crime everywhere. So I'm just concerned about how the district is being represented and how people look at us. So trust is a two-way street. I need to see you giving, and I'll give too.
You've always emphasized accountability and transparency. How will you bring those values into City Hall decision-making?
Because that's just very important to the community. I know what it's like to be left off of meetings and not be invited, your email address to be removed. Transparency makes anything works better. If you withhold information and you're a public servant, what are you hiding? Accountability is who I am. I do have a finance background too. It makes everything run smoothly. People won't question your choice, the decisions that you're making, if they can see it. If we are the taxpayers and we're electing you to be a public servant, that means serve the public. That means the community comes first in our needs. So what we're saying and what I'm saying is accountability and transparency runs government. And when we lack that, when people forget about that, we have problems.
District 5 has deep cultural roots and history. How do you plan to preserve that identity while building for the future?
First, we must acknowledge that we've lost a lot of our history. Tinker Field was on a National Historical Registry, but it was torn down anyway. We fought, we lost. Our National Protected Wetlands over on Mercy Drive's John Young, we fought, we lost that. Been there for millions of years. We've constantly lost a lot of historical places in District 5. When people, communities don't know their history, they don't know where they're going. So the most important thing, since we've lost a lot of our historical buildings, a lot of the history, a lot of the people have moved on to glory, we have to make sure they know. So enlisting a lot of people, historians, let's capture that information and let's share that information with our young people. I have to say, the one thing that my family, especially my Uncle Grady and my Uncle George Blackman, they shared our history all the way back to the 1800s. How we even got our name, the Blackmans, my mom's maiden name. And it made a difference in my life to know where I came from and to know where I'm going and to make sure we don't make those mistakes in the future.
Finally, what message do you want voters in District 5 to take away about who you are and why you're running?
Lawanna Gelzer is a researcher. Lawanna Gelzer is not an information hoarder. Lawanna Gelzer shares information. Lawanna Gelzer has built a lot of relationships on a state, federal, and local level. She knows how to find additional funding. She has a rapport with people throughout. She's easy to work with, but she will not put herself first. She will always put the community first because that's who's going to elect me to serve them. So I will bring that information. So accountability, transparency, but at the end, it's all about great leadership and integrity because it matters to Lawanna Gelzer.